Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's talk about this thing. Well, finally, we're starting to see some headway in the Breonna Taylor case. We thought that there was not going to be any justice done in this case, and people had lost hope. But then something crazy happened. Attorney General Merrick Garland picked it up and said, no, we're going to take this on a federal level, because come to find out that four of those Louisville officers, not the ones that were on the scene and actually pulled the trigger, but there was one of them that was on the scene that pulled the trigger. He's being charged, but there's three who were in charge of getting the warrant to go into Breonna Taylor's house. Come to find out that these three officers falsified those documents in order to, give a probable cause for them to go into Breonna Taylor's house, and the information that they used was absolutely false. And so, of course, we didn't expect the Louisville PD to pick up on this or try to do anything about it. They were actually trying to cover it up. And then here come Merrick Garland. He come in and no, we're going to take this to the federal level and we're going to charge these officers. And I want to give him a round of applause. Round of applause, Merrick Garland, because he, just in the short time that he's been the Attorney General, he's done far more than Bill Barr ever did. Merrick Garland is also, man, he on Donald Trump case so bad you think his name is Donnell Trump. Because he going after them boys hard, and he is not coming up off of them easy. So I would like to give a shout out to Attorney General Merrick Garland for trying to put justice back into the Justice Department. It is uplifting to see something like this. Now, I know that we're not going to have this every day, all day, and we can see in the Emmett Till case that there's still going to be some inconsistencies and there's still going to be some failures on that end. But to see somebody putting forth effort to try to make things right is really, really uplifting to the people's spirits, man. So once again, shout out to AG Merrick Garland for trying to bring justice back into the Department of Justice, man. It's really going to be a long summer for these dudes, because they went and falsifying these documents to serve them and to protect their interests. This is nothing uncommon to the police department. And this is what I want people to understand. When we be watching these cop shows and stuff like that, and we see them doing the little dirty stuff, is that art imitating life, or is that life imitating art? Because there's so many times when people will sit there and tell you, no, this didn't take place, but because they're the ones who are on the other side of the law, then they're not going to get any credibility. And police officers know that, and the abuse of their power like that has become very commonplace. So, it is what it is, but at least something is taking place. Now, I've always been preaching for the longest. I was on a panel a few months ago, and we was talking about how can we begin to change the United States and all of this racism and classism that we fall subject to in this country. And one of the main points that everybody came to the same consensus of was that we have to place people in position, local government and federal government, in order to get some change. And now we're starting to see, as people are being placed in these local positions and in these federal positions to get something done, we're going to actually see some progress being made in this country. But we can't just stop now just because we're starting to see some benefits. We have to keep it going, and we have to continue to level the playing field, because remember, these white supremacists are in every facet facet of the United States of America. They are in every position. They're in every auxiliary in this country, all the way up to the very highest office in this country. Our last president was a white supremacist, full-fledged, full throttle, and I don't care what anybody says to the otherwise. He was and still is, and he used those white supremacists to try to carry out overthrowing the government. So let's get away from that story that, oh, he's not a white, he's not racist. Just because he's been around black people and he's been nice to black people in some facet of his life at some point in his life, it was never out of a true heart. It was always so that he could gain some type of leverage or have somebody on his side. Just like when he let Kodak Black and Lil Wayne gave him those pardons. He didn't do that because he enjoyed their music or he liked them as people. No, he did that so that he could garner favor in the hip hop community and also the black community through their fans and stuff. That's the young group and the older black group, but they're still the young generation that matters, and the ones who are really taking the reins of us older people who are starting to get to the age where we about to retire and all of that stuff. And so he used these acts of kindness as a strategic move to garner leverage for himself. So let's not act like Donald Trump like black people. Come on, you fooling yourself if you think that. You're a straight up Herschel Walker if that's the narrative that you're holding on to. But back to strategically placing people in the right positions. If you're in the Killeen area and the surrounding area, you have Steve Harris. Remember the name Steve Harris. He is running for local judge of District 4, and he's a man of integrity. He's always been a solid dude. He's always had the interest of the community in his heart, and he's always worked towards that. And for the people in this area, if you want to see true justice and fairness being coming across the courtroom, then vote for this brother, Steve Harris. I know I'm gonna vote for him. I've known him for a long time. He's always shown me that he's a solid dude and he's a sincere dude. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. And there's a lot more I'm going to be following up with as I go to the city council meeting and see who's really running for what, so that we can strategically put these people in position so that we can have more accountability on this level, because it had to start at the local level for somebody to come out and say, well, hey, this paperwork isn't right. These documents have been falsified. And they had to report that. So having people on the local level who has our interest at heart is very important in us receiving the long-term justice that we're out here seeking. And so, yeah, Merrick Garland is doing his thing, man. I looked up Bill Barr and former Attorney General Bill Barr. I looked up his accomplishments just to make a comparison to his fight for justice versus Merrick Garland's. And like I stated, just in the small time that Merrick Garland has been in office, he's done far more than Bill Barr ever did. The only thing Bill Barr ever fought for was money. He was always chasing money. He, the large industries or companies that were getting over and putting money in offshore accounts and stuff like that. Those are the types of things that Bill Barr chased after. He didn't seek any real justice for the American people. He sought justice for the big corporate people that were able to give payoffs, and the ones who were able to line his pockets with money for doing them those favors. But he never pursued anything to help the people of the United States, the actual citizens. the blue collar worker, the no collar worker. He had absolutely no energy or interest in doing anything towards getting any justice for us on this level. Everything that Bill Barr did was for the white collar people. And so I'm so glad that we got that waste of space out of office along with his boss. I'm so glad that we have somebody in there now who's at least trying to do some good and trying to get things back to a place to where we can have some pride in being Americans again. Because I still don't want to say to anybody that I'm an American. I don't want to carry that title, because everything that comes along with that label American right now is nothing to be desired. To me, in my eyes, saying that you're an American right now is the same as saying that you're a pedophile. So, you know, we're trying to regain the reputation of the United States as being a place that is welcoming and that is loving, and all of those lies that they put in the Star Spangled Banner. Matter of fact, speaking of the Star Spangled Banner, I found that third verse to the Star Spangled Banner, and I would like to repeat this third verse of the Star Spangled Banner to show you how America really felt about us as a people. And they expected us to stand up and repeat this. This is the thing that really bothered me the most, is that they expected us to stand up, put our hand over our heart, and honor this verse right here that they would never sing out loud. So I'm going to repeat this word for word and slow it down so that you can understand what they're talking about. The third verse of the Star Spangled Banner says this: when our land is illumined with liberty's smile. There they go with that illumined. They're illuminated. They're the light bearers. They have the truth and they have the light. So this is something that's always been stated by these secret societies who actually run this country from behind the scenes. So let me get back. When our land is illumined with liberty's smile. Now, mind you that the Statue of Liberty is the largest graven image in our country. Now, if we're in a country that was founded on Christian principles, allegedly, you know, one of the biggest things that God said is do not have any graven images, yet we have one of the largest graven images in the world in the Statue of Liberty. That's neither here nor there. That was just a side note. But when our land is illumined with liberty's smile, if a foe from within strikes a blow at her glory. Now, who is this foe from within? Who is the enemy from within the United States? Well, that was all of the slaves, because remember, this is back during the War of 1812, and they were trying to get the slaves to fight on behalf. Well, actually, they did not want, the United States did not want the slaves to fight, because they were afraid that the slaves would turn on them because of what they had done to the slaves up to that point. And so Canada said, hey, if y'all want freedom, y'all come and fight for us against the United States, and we'll give you freedom in Canada. And those slaves, some of them took that deal, and they ended up taking over the White House. They ran James Madison up out of there, and they burned the White House down. That's another side note. So that's those the foe from within that strikes a blow at her glory. That's what they was talking about right there. Then it said, down, down with the traitor that dares to defile the flag and her stars and the page of her story. So down with those who try to use critical race theory. This is why they want to get rid of critical race theory. They want to destroy CRT, and they say it plainly right here. Down, down with the traitor that dares to defile the flag and her stars and the page of her story. The lie that they tell to try to make themselves look noble and big in the eyes of a people who they brainwashed from the day one. So now let me continue on. It says, by the millions unchained. Who's unchained? The slaves that were unchained and who was given the opportunity to fight for their freedom against this tyrannical government. So by the millions unchained who our birthright have gained. So they said slaves were their birthright. This is the mindset that those people carry. Slaves were their birthright. Them owning us was their birthright. This is how they thought, and this is how they still think to this day. The Proud Boys still think like this. The Oath Keepers still think like this. Donald Trump still thinks like this. Donald Sterling still thinks like this. What's the coach for the Redskins? And that's not the Redskins, my fault. The Washington Commanders. Their coach think like this. A lot of these NFL and NBA coaches and owners think like this. So he said, by the millions unchained who our birthright have gained, we will keep her bright blazing, forever unstained. So they're saying and they're declaring in that verse right there, just in that line right there, that no matter what they do, we're going to keep this story alive. This lie that we created to give people a sense of nobility and to show that America was noble in their actions, we're going to keep this lie alive no matter what. And we're not going to allow anybody to contradict the story that we put out to the American people, even though it is true. That's why critical race theory is a big topic. That's why it's so important for them to bury critical race theory, because it's going to pull the veil off of them and show what they truly are. And they don't want that to be seen. And so they said it right there in the verse. And then they said, while the land of the free is the home of the brave. And that's how the third verse of the Star Spangled Banner goes. That's why you'll never hear anybody sing it whenever they sing the anthem. You'll never hear that verse being sung. Why? Because it lets you know the mindset and the mentality and the true purpose of those people who run the United States. That's why critical race theory is always going to be swept under the rug, and they're always going to oppress that. That's why they banned it in schools, because of this third verse right here in the Star Spangled Banner. But yet you want me to stand up and put my hand over my heart and give honor to this that is down in our people, that is just giving you great evidence of how their mindset has always been. Yeah, man. So once again, I would like to congratulate Merrick Garland, Attorney General Merrick Garland, for his attempt to bring justice back to the Justice Department. And if we continue to strategically place people in the right positions throughout the United States, we will begin to see small acts of justice taking place. It's not going to change overnight, and this whole country is not going to become the haven of justice, but you're going to see more justice and more fair rulings being given in this country with the right people in the right place, leveling that playing field, fighting against those white supremacists who have already been strategically placed throughout this country and every single auxiliary in this country. So I'm just glad to hear this news this morning. It's something that kind of lifted my spirits, and, you know, we'll continue to see what's going on. So shout out to the Justice Department for making this right, and to the family of Breonna Taylor. I hope y'all truly get justice in this matter, because everything about that was totally wrong. And I've been in a job where people have falsified documents in order to protect their workers. So this is nothing that is far out of the realm of possibility or anything like that. It's pretty easy to prove, and I hope that's the case with this, man. This is your boy D-Mac. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.